60-page opinion released on Tuesday evening. Neither the meager legal reasoning nor the assessment of the litigation risk provided by the DHS to support its decision is sufficient to sustain termination of the DACA program. So it's back on. The weak, feckless, awful Democrats, they could have done something very easily on this deal, but instead we had to bring it down to a justice system. Anyway, Dreamers, good for you. You're back. So that's very positive for the Dreamers today. Obviously, you do love to hear that kind of stuff go on. So, anyway, Bates, who was appointed by George W. Bush. So, I mean, before the Republicans say, "Oh, he's such a partisan." He was appointed by George W. Bush. Is the first Republican appointee to rule against President Trump's move to wind down DACA. 2 district judges appointed by Bill Clinton, San Francisco and Brooklyn. One in San Francisco, one in Brooklyn, previously came to 2 similar conclusions. They entered injunctions against the administration, continuing to accept renewals while the litigation continued. One judge in Maryland is pretty much how the government is supposed to work. Like if the no matter the party, if the person, this is literally how our government's supposed to work. So if the person, if the judicial branch sees something that's out of whack, I mean, they can stop it. That the executive branch does. It's how our government's supposed to work. It's supposed to balance it out. So it's also very good. One judge in Maryland, also a George W. Bush appointee, upheld the basic thrust of the administration's decision to end the program. The Trump administration tried to bypass the usual appeals process and take one of those district court rulings directly to the Supreme Court, but in February, the justices declined to take the case before a ruling from at least one appeals court. Trump announced in September he planned to phase out the program, allowing renewals through March 5th of this year, but refusing to issue new permits. The arrangement would have resulted in about 700,000 people having their work permits and quasi-legal status expire over a 2-year period. The administration said the move was necessary to head off a lawsuit threatened by the conservative state attorneys general who managed to block an expansion of the program under Barack Obama. Bates made clear on Tuesday he did not find a credible reason for the wind down of DACA. So the agency's prediction regarding the outcome of threatened litigation over DACA's viability, specifically that the district court in the Texas litigation would immediately halt the program without any opportunity for a wind down, was so implausible that it fails under the deferential, arbitrary, and capricious standards. DACA's recession, therefore, will be set aside. So, yeah, there is a really that brings up a really interesting situation. Like, what will happen in the Supreme Court? Like, who will flip? Like, we know Neil Gorsuch will vote. The newest judge or justice will vote with Trump, obviously, because of course he will. That's why he was pretty much appointed. But like, this is one of the biggest problems here. So it's one of the biggest problems we're probably going to be facing to protect these dreamers. And we need this, again, why the 2018 elections are so important. It's to vote the right people who are actually going to support these bills. Like, we need someone who can support this and actually work with the Republicans to get a serious legal backing behind this bill that's been proven to be effective. It's proven to be beneficial for society, letting in only the best and keeping in only the best of people. The dreamers, the people who have done something with their lives. Obviously, if you commit a crime, you're going to be deported. But, yeah, Justice Department spokesman Devin O'Malley said the administration remained convinced that his actions were lawful. So there is that they're going to have to contend with in the future. So he says today's order doesn't change the DACA, the Justice Department's position on the facts. DACA was implemented unilaterally after Congress declined to extend benefits to the same group of illegal aliens. As such, it was an unlawful circumvention of Congress. The Department of Homeland Security therefore acted within its lawful authority in deciding to wind down DACA in an orderly manner. The Justice Department will continue to vigorously defend this position and looks forward to vindicating its position in further litigation. Bates' new ruling came came on a pair of suits brought by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, the American Federation of Teachers, and the United Food and Commercial UFCW, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, and another brought by Princeton University, Microsoft, and a DACA recipient. So there is a bunch of suits being put into this, so that DACA can continue to thrive in a effective way. So there is that, but pretty much the point is, there is a lot of, and I do like the first comment here in this article. Those Mexican judges must be everywhere. I mean, it'd be interesting to see Trump's reaction to this, and I think this is a pretty big deal. I mean, obviously, can still take this ruling to the Supreme Court, but it's now going to be down to that. Hopefully, we get some real progressive fighters. It's all going to be coming down to who comes into Congress, and my opinion, and who can negotiate this. Who can negotiate this kind of most successful, most aggressive, most solid deals. If we get real strong, true progressive fighters in there, we're not going to bow to Republicans. Every little thing the Republicans suggest, I'm like, okay, we'll concede that. We'll concede DACA, and like we're going to make a deal about it another time. Like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the weak people they are. And if they actually get past that, and if they actually get some real strong leaders, like a Bernie Sanders or something like that, it may be in the Senate, and lead a strong new Democratic Progressive Caucus, that would be really important, really cool to see that take place. Maybe even some Black Caucus people come up and flex on them. So, yeah, it is really quite incredible. So, yeah, wow. We will be getting a lot more on this story in the future. In the meantime, we're going to take another quick break, and we will tell you about Joy Reid getting a little bit anti-LGBT and a little bit bigoted. That's next. All right, so Joy Reid, she is a weekend host on MSNBC. She apologized last December. She got in a little bit of trouble for a series of homophobic blog posts she wrote from 2007 to 2009. So she could use the change women defense, but she had a lot of changing to do because 2007 2009. That's 2 years of ridiculing then Florida Governor Charlie Crist, who she repeatedly mocked as Miss Charlie and ridiculed with some pretty ugly anti-gay stereotypes. Charlie wrote Reid was someone who, if he ever got on the White House as John McCain's vice president, would not be fixated on policy but designing pretty napkin patterns at state funerals and spend his honeymoon ogling male waiters. In her apology, Reid insisted she has some gay friends, which is probably she's probably been on our show and ridiculed some Republican for saying, "Oh, I have so many black friends before." Like you really, Joy? Come on, you're better than that. Yeah, she's like, the LGBT community includes people whom I deeply love, and her writings were insensitive, tone-deaf, and dumb. People in the media seem to quickly accept Joy Reid's apology, and they were right to do so. People have the right to change their beliefs as the society change their beliefs and the society around them grow. as they and the society around them grow, and to learn and to evolve. The process should be encouraged, not stigmatized. Politics, at its core, should be about persuading people to repudiate misguided and destructive beliefs and adopt ones that are more reasoned, humane, and just, and help the American people moving forward, and that means all American people. In 2012, the Democratic Party changed its position on LGBT equality when Barack Obama evolved and announced his support for gay marriage, which he had previously opposed, believe it or not. There's no reason to doubt that Reid, who worked as a press aide for the Obama campaign, changed her views on LGBT to align with the new party dogma. That's very possible. And maybe she was against it before. Maybe she felt like stigmatized. Maybe she felt afraid by it. Maybe she felt it was like a little weird or something else, and she was just uncomfortable with that. I mean, personally, to me, I was like a young child, very young child, back when all this stuff was still happening. So, I mean, there's not too much I can weigh in on about it, but I have done a lot of like research. I've done a lot about it, checking out like old news happenings of that time, and it just seems to me a little bit crazy that just how far we gotten along in the past couple of years. The fact that in 2012, Barack Hussein Obama would still be against legalizing gay marriage. So that is quite incredible. Candidly acknowledging the erroneous nature of one's previous views as a virtue, not a character flaw. As someone who has changed many of my own views about a wide range of political and non-political questions, as like during the just 2 years ago, I used to be like, "This is pretty funny. How is the Bernie supporters gonna pay for that stuff?" Which is pretty funny. So, growth that I hope and expect will continue for as long as I live. It's regarded as vital that everyone has the space to reconsider old beliefs and not have them held against one in perpetuity. Once they are renounced. But the last 24 hours have changed the Joy Reid situation considerably. Last week, the same left-wing Twitter user, Jamie Moz, who first unearthed Reid's anti-gay tweets about Chris, unearthed far more toxic, bigoted, vicious anti-gay articles that appeared to be from Reid's old blog. Reid has removed her blog from the internet, so Moz found the articles using the Wayback Machine, the Internet Digital Archive that stores old content even after it's been removed or deleted by the publisher. Last night, the news outlets that reports on TV news media published an extensive story about these newly found articles that appear under Reid's byline. But unlike the posts Reid apologized for in December, which she said were intended to mock the hypocrisy of GOP officials who are simultaneously closeted gays but also anti-gay in their politics, these are newly discovered articles that have nothing to do with the GOP hypocrisy. They're hateful, bigoted, and homophobic in their own light. So, there's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of it here, so just get ready. But before we get into that at all, there will be, first I just want to give you a little topic. She's a little bit more than kind of like just a weekend host. She's more as she's kind of more the face, the Twitter face of the resistance. So she kind of is a big deal. She like owns the Republicans on Twitter and owns the Bernie Sanders supporters on Twitter as well. She's like, Bernie is like this one guy who crashes your apartment and is like, I'm not going to pay for anything, or something like really stupid like that. And there's a full page here of bullets from this. So she defended former NBA star Tim Hardaway's aggressively anti-gay comments by writing that while such comments are stupid for a public figure to make, most people cringe at the sight of two straight men kissing, saying she couldn't go to see Brokeback Mountain either despite her sister's ringing endorsement because I didn't want to watch the two male characters having sex. Did that make me homophobic? Probably. Well, I don't care. I mean, if you are, do you want to watch people, I don't know if they have sex, male sex, gay sex in Brokeback Mountain. I'm assuming they do. But, I mean, it's a little bit different. I mean, I guess you could say, like, if sex makes you uncomfortable generally, then I get that. It's something that happens. But, like, the male characters having sex is weird. Like, that's a blatantly homophobic position. So, yeah. She argued that